Janice R Love, also known as the First Lady Coach, and I equip seasoned pastors' wives to have an authentic and harmonious life by having that clarity, the confidence, and the courage to stand on their own platform. Hello, hello, hello. As you're coming in, say hello. Welcome to Thursday night session number 8 of the Pearl Power Series. We have been out here for a full 7 sessions, and tonight is session number 8. What we have been doing for the last 2 weeks is we have been talking about 9 ways that you can unleash your God-given superpowers. So as you're coming in, say hello. Let me know you're there. And as if you get a chance to watch the replay, let me know you watch the replay. And definitely feel free to throw a chat in there. Just say hi. Let me know you're doing okay. So I don't know about you all, but here in Kansas City, it got cold today. I had to pull out my long sleeve shirt because it was like cool, and turn off the air conditioning, and we'll probably have to turn it back on again. Anyway, we're not here to talk about that. But again, I am Dr. Janice R Love, also known as the First Lady Coach. And again, I equip seasoned pastors' wives to live that authentic and harmonious life by having that clarity, the confidence, and the courage to stand on their own platform. So again, last night, wasn't last night, but Sunday night, we talked about the number one way to gain the clarity and the courage that you need to fulfill your God-given purpose. Hopefully you had a chance to watch that. And during that session, I introduced the Chosen Pearls mentoring program, which I talked all about it. So if you didn't get a chance to hear about that, go back and watch session number 7, or simply go to janicrlove.com /chosen pearls and learn a little bit more about that. It's just a quick 15-minute video. Anyway, I am planning to launch a brand new group of just 8 to 10 women on June the 6th. The doors will close on June 1st. So if you want to be a part of this, definitely DM me or click on my website, my bio link if you're in Instagram, or just simply again go to janicrlove.com /chosen pearls, and let's get on the phone and have a conversation. I'd love to talk to you because I feel like, and again, God sent me to do this so that I can help you to have that authentic and harmonious life, and again, to help you to stand on that platform. So when I do talk about standing on your own platform, sometimes that frightens pastors' wives, thinking that I am saying that you should go and stand on a platform just like your husbands. No. When God chooses us, he gives each one of us a purpose. We've already established that. And if you don't really believe that, make sure you go and read Ephesians 10, because it talks about that God had already designed all this before we were even born. He already knew what he created us to do and what he wanted us to do, and he gave us everything we needed in order to get it done. So again, hey there, good evening. Good to see. I can't see who that is on the Facebook. Anyway, DM me if you have any questions, okay? And definitely let's get on the call. But tonight we're going to talk about the real truth why God will never assign a purpose that isn't yours. So again, we all agree that God created all of us for a purpose, right? If you agree with that, give me a heart, or nod your head, or say yes. We all agree that God created each and every one of us with a purpose, right? And it's our job to make sure that we uncover that and do exactly what God created us to do. Now, sometimes we don't realize that our purpose is really hidden in plain sight. It's not something that you don't have any idea, or it's not something that you can't relate to. it is something that could easily be hidden in plain sight. Has anybody been watching the First Lady show? It's a movie that's been out here lately. Has anybody watched that? But each one of the first ladies that they talk about, each one of them had a platform, and the platform was based on something either they experienced at a different time in their life, something they were passionate about, or something that had happened to them. And it's no different with what God has assigned us to do. It is something that, again, is hidden in plain sight and most likely related to something that is already going on in our life, or something we have experienced, or something that He has planted inside of us. Okay, so let me dive deeper into this, because whenever we think about walking in our purpose, standing on our own platform, fulfilling our assignment, there are some thoughts that go through our heads. True. When we start thinking about there are many thoughts that might go through your head. So you might ask yourself the question, is He going to try to make me into somebody else I don't want to be? Will I lose my identity? Will God ask me to do something that I really don't want to do? Or we might ask ourselves, what if I fail? I remember when I truly understood that God had called me to work with pastors' wives and to help them to find some clarity around their calling and to get that courage to stand on their own platform. The first thing, I was afraid. I was afraid because, number one, was that going to, was I qualified to do that? Was that going to make it look like I was trying to take my husband's job, or trying to compete with him? Or were people going to label me a preacher, or trying to be a co-pastor? That scared me like y'all wouldn't believe, because so many times people will try to add labels to whatever we're doing that make it look like something else. But again, when God calls us for a purpose, he will equip us with everything we need, and we don't have to argue about it, because God is not going to give us something that we are not capable of doing, or that is going to take us completely out of who we are. Now I'm getting off my notes because I'm talking too much. Anyway, whenever we start to think about our purpose, we start getting fears. We can have those fears again about what people are going to think. Why is He going to give me something that is not mine? Is He going to again make me do something that just totally frightens me, or it just I'm totally uncomfortable with, or that I really don't have the skill set to do? So when we have these thoughts, I believe that they center around three different areas. And I want you to write these down, because and then take some time to really think about it, because these are the things that often keep us from having that confidence that God is going to give us the right assignment. Because again, He's the creator. He knows exactly what you're capable of, and He knows exactly how to lead you to where you need to be. So there are three fears that we have. The first one is that of being mislabeled. The second fear that we have is of being disqualified. And then the third fear that we have is being unqualified. I'll say those again. The three fears that we tend to have when we start thinking about the purpose that God may have given us is, are we going to be mislabeled? Are we disqualified, or are we unqualified? Can anybody relate to those three things? Mislabeled, disqualified, or unqualified. Let's talk a little bit about what mislabeled means. When we're mislabeled, it means that you're simply labeled incorrectly. We're falsely labeled. Again, one of my fears when I stepped out on my platform to serve pastors' wives and women married to influencers, again, was whether or not I was going to be accused of trying to be a preacher, or a pastor, or a co-pastor, or if I was going into preaching. That is not my calling. My calling is simply to share and to help equip pastors' wives to live an authentic and harmonious life by having that clarity and confidence and the courage to stand on their own platform. We worry about labels because we already have so many labels that have been placed on us. And so we worry about that. And we're human. We worry about those things again because so often we are labeled in this position. We're labeled as sometimes being overbearing, or we're labeled as being a distraction to our husband's ministry, or we're labeled as trying to compete with him. There are so many labels that are placed on the pastor's wife that we're already sick of labels, and the last thing we want to do is step out to do what God called us to do and suddenly get another label. Can anybody relate to that? Because there are so many people who attempt to label it. So again, that thought is one of the fears that we have of being labeled. But let me give you a truth. Okay, a truth. Remember when Samuel was going out to find the next king, and he went to all of Jesse's sons, and he thought it was the tall, handsome ones that he should be looking towards, and then it was little bitty David that was supposed to be chosen to be king. So many times people label us because they are looking at the outside, but the truth is that God looks on the inside. So if you get a chance, read, I think it's 1 Samuel 16:7. Read that, because again, we don't have to worry about labels. When God calls us to do something, we don't have to worry about labels because He is the one that gave us the assignment, right? So who cares about all these labels that somebody else wants to give you? So get over the fear of being mislabeled. All right, y'all with me? You still with me? Okay, now let's talk about being disqualified. Now, I will tell you that, especially because of the things that have happened in my life, of having been married to a pastor twice. And if you didn't get that story, go all the way back to session number 1. I felt so disqualified that God couldn't possibly use me to minister to a group of women who I felt like at some time I had failed. So many times, because of the things that we have experienced in our lives, we feel like we are disqualified, especially when the world puts us on a pedestal, expects us to be perfect. We feel like if we get out there and do what God has called us to do, that people will be quick to call us an imposter, a phony, or whatever, making us feel like we are disqualified. Now, disqualified means being declared ineligible for an office or an activity or competition because of an offense or an infringement. Now, I know I got a list of offenses a mile long, but we all know that God doesn't call the perfect. He calls the one who has had the life experiences. How can I help another sister if I haven't gone through some things or I haven't dealt with some things? So the the disqualification is actually a benefit because God takes those things and turns them into things that make a difference for others. Now, who's going to listen to me if I haven't never gone through anything? They're going to say, your life is perfect, Janice Love. So why you can't tell me anything? So often we feel disqualified. But I want you to remember Ephesians 2:10. One of my favorites, and I'm going to read it out of the Passion Translation. This is the truth here. Oh, yes, definitely. Sometimes we feel like we are too young for the task. I'm getting there in a minute. Look at you ahead of me. All right, that's all right, Sheila. Ephesians 2:10 says, we have become His poetry, a recreated people that will fulfill the destiny He has given each of us. For we are joined to Jesus, the anointed one. So forget about all that stuff that you did or that you didn't do, or the life experiences that you've had that brought you here. Many times God will use those difficulties, those pains, those challenges to help you to be able to help somebody else. So don't continue to think to yourself that you are not qualified to walk in the purpose that God had given you. Think about what Esther went through. Esther really felt unqualified to go and save her people and to even go and talk to her husband. But again, if God called you to do something, he's going to give you everything you need to do it. So that's your truth. All right. So finally, also, even before we were born, God already knew what he had created, called, and chose us to do. So again, he has given us everything we need. So we don't have to worry about the things that we have already gone through and done, because again, he will use those. Finally, let's get to the unqualified. Like the comment says, sometimes we feel like we are too young. Sometimes we feel like we don't know enough. Sometimes we feel like we don't have enough education or training. So often what will happen is, before we step out on our purpose, and especially for us who are married to pastors, we feel like a safer place is to go to school. There's a reason why I have 4.5 degrees, is because I felt totally unqualified to do many of the things I've done. I went all the way to the doctorate level, when really, if I had just truly listened to God, I could have done this 2 degrees ago, because it's not the degrees that I learned in school or the information I learned in school. It's the experiences that God has brought me through and the things that he has put in me that helps me to do what I do, not because I have 4.5 degrees. So look at all the money we can end up wasting because we feel the safest thing for us to do is to go back to school in order to be qualified to do the very thing that God created us to do. Now, I know that, again, many of us feel like we have to go back to school in order to do what it is God called us to do, but that is not always the case. And 9 times out of 10, it is not the case, because again, God's timing is everything, and he knows exactly when he has fully equipped us to do, again, what he is asking us to do. So I'm going to leave you with Romans 8:30. See, I was going to say Romans 8:28, because I'm always talking about Romans 8:28, but that applies here too, because all things work together for good. All the things that we have been through, all the things that God has put in us, all of these things are working for the good of those who love God. And again, it's the good for somebody else. God is sending you to bless somebody else, and you are qualified because he is the one that created and called and chose you. So let me leave you with Romans 8:30. He is the one that qualifies us. Having determined our destiny ahead of time, he called us to himself and transferred his perfect righteousness to everyone he called, and those who possess his perfect righteousness, he co-glorified with his son. So remember Romans 8:30 again, because when God has called us to do something, when he has chosen us to do something, he is going to give us everything we need in order to get that done. Remember that. So those are the truths that confirm that God will never assign you something that is not yours. He will never give you an assignment that he did not create you for. So trust him in the process. All we need to do is get that clarity. So that is why, truly, I have the Chosen Pearls program, mentoring program, because I need for you to have that clarity so that you just don't jump out there doing something that you are not called to do. We have to spend the time knowing what God put in us, going through the experiences and things in our life, going through the heart that he put in us for serving others, and then we have a very clear pathway that we can take to help you to eventually be standing on your own platform. All right. So again, if you are interested in hearing more about the Chosen Pearls program, definitely go to janicrlove.com/chosen pearls. And I'd love to get on the conversation with you so that we can see how we can help you to get rid of those fears that you are going to be mislabeled, that you are unqualified, and that you are disqualified, so that you can get out there and do what God created you to do and stand on your own platform. Once again, I am Dr. Janice R Love. I am also known as the First Lady Coach, and I equip seasoned pastors' wives to have that authentic and harmonious life by having the clarity, the confidence, and the courage to stand on their own platform. Thank you so much for those of you who came out with me tonight. Thank you for your comments. Sheeta, I love you. I appreciate you. And how are things going over in your country? Hopefully things are going well. I Be blessed. All right. But anyway, come back and join me on Thursday night, where we will present the final session of the 9 ways that chosen wives can unleash their God given superpowers. All right. So join me at 7 p.m. Central Time and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and then like 5 o'clock on the Pacific Time or California time. Anyway, I hope to see you on Thursday. Until then, be blessed. Bye bye.